Hello everyone, my name is Keb, and you're watching Chapter 8 of my Fire Emblem 12 Lunatic mode, Blind LTC. To see what I mean by Blind LTC, take a look at the description. But in short, this is my first time playing Lunatic, I haven't planned ahead, and I'm trying to LTC every map, one chapter at a time. This episode is a special one, because I was just about done writing a 2-turn clear before realizing that Bantu exists. Yeah, you can't clear this map in 2 turns if you recruit Bantu, at least not without burning a bunch of rescue staff uses. I like the 2-turn clears so much that I'm going to show it anyways, but if you want to skip to the actual clear, there's a link to the timestamp in the description. The 2-turn clear that I came up with involves a few pretty weird class choices, chief among them being Sage Pala. Pala has a perfect combination of speed, defense, and luck for a very specific strategy, and she needs to be in a magic class to be able to use the rescue staff. Katria has turned into a Myrmidon of all things, which is strange because she doesn't really need the extra speed for the most part, and Cavalier is better in almost every other way. In either case, we'll be seeing some Lady Blade action. Gordon has also been reclassed into a Cavalier, which is probably fairly standard for this map since the 9 movement makes it much easier to recruit George. Aran finally gets to dust off his Silver Lance because we'll be using him for combat for the first time since Chapter 4. Or rather, we would have if Bantu didn't exist. The final key player in the strategy is Fina, who has been placed in the deployment slot closest to the gate. She'll be stretching the movement range of our other units, which is what enables the 2-turn clear. The trickiest part of LTCing this map is the narrowness of the 2-tile wide bridge, and it tends to get clogged easily with a bunch of really tanky paladins and generals that makes it hard to break through. This problem is further exacerbated by the fact that we just don't have a ton of combat resources available. Pala is busy being a sage, and Sheeta has to waste her time to recruit Roger. Chris is heading to the top right to get the arm scroll, and of course someone has to go south to collect the Leo shard, so Sirius will be occupied as well. This lack of firepower is why we have to use a clever AI trick to push through this bridge. I've mentioned many times during this playthrough that enemies with lower movement will act first. But there is another important layer to it, and that is the concept of enemy action phases. There are 3 distinct enemy action phases that will always happen in the same order. The first is attacks that kill, then attacks that don't kill, and then finally non-attacking moves. Enemies in the same action phase will act in ascending order of movement. This 8-move hero has roughly 9 crit on Sirius, which is enough to bump him into the attacks that kill phase. Next up is the 10-move Killer Lance Paladin, who is also in the first phase due to crit. He goes for Aran due to the higher crit chance and Pala's relative tankiness, which ends the attacks that kill phase, and starts the attacks that don't kill phase. Since enemies act in order of movement within each phase, the first attacker up is Roger, who only has 5 movement. This closes the choke point and blocks off the remaining enemies from attacking. After Roger's attack, we get to watch Chris destroy a whole bunch of 6-move generals, including the one with the arm scroll. The arm scroll general is later in deployment order than the others, so Chris needs to one-round all of them with a hammer or else they get in each other's way. Now that there are no more possible attacks, we've entered the final action phase, which is just all remaining enemies charging in ascending movement order. Sirius sticks his tongue out at Astrum and snags the Leo shard, knowing full well that those heroes won't get the chance to move again. It was very important for Roger to attack Pala on the left instead of Aran on the right, since Sheeta can now get him out of the way by recruiting him. That's why we led the charge with Pala, who is still kinda tanky even as a Sage, and Aran, who is unlucky and pretty squishy even as a Draco Knight. The Killer Lance Paladin just couldn't resist. With Roger recruited, that leaves just 2 paladins to clear out. The first one got one-rounded by Chris, and the second paladin barely falls after combined efforts from Aran and Myrmidon Katria with the Lady Blade. Katria had to be a Myrmidon specifically because this paladin has the Rider's Bane and we're out of flyer slots. With the path cleared, Fina can now dance Gordon forward to recruit George. Finally, we maneuver George, Roger, Kane, and Paladin Wendell into a specific formation in order to rescue boost Marth 2 tiles towards the gate. Thanks to our clump of units and the water, Marth pops out 2 tiles on the left just within reach of the gate, and that's Chapter 8, completed in 2 turns. I'll see you next time. Just kidding, let's go get Bantu. Okay, so I was pretty bummed about a useless unit ruining one of the cooler clears of this run. And by the way, Bantu doesn't even join with anything that I can sell, so he really may as well not even be there. But rules are rules, and 3-turning this map is such a walk in the park that it actually gives us a great opportunity to get some grinding done. For that reason, Yulia is coming off the bench for the first time since her joining chapter. Even though Marisha is pretty much better in every way due to her better availability and ability to use the Hermit staff, I do think that having 2 units with enough staff rank to use the Again staff might come in handy at some point, and Yulia is really the only one that can hope to reach that benchmark. On a similar vein, Wendell only needs 8 staff uses to hit C stabs, which would normally be important for Warp, but having another physic user won't hurt either. For the non-staffers, Chris needs to hit C lances to use the Dragon Pike, and I've decided to start training Pal as Axe rank. Not that I have a real plan in mind or anything, but she's just been at 8 lances for a while. I also need to start work on getting Marisha promoted, since she's kind of underleveled from my lack of physic usage. Luckily, the 3-turn clear is so comfortable that Marisha can actually do the rescuing this time, despite her 5 movement. I also do think that she'll be using physic a lot in the next chapter. I kind of forget why I wanted to show the enemy paladin deployment order. Maybe it was just to show that the last paladin moves before the rest due to getting bumped into the first action phase from crit. I don't remember how many barrier uses I had left over in my first playthrough, but I really doubt that we'll need all 18 uses. So I'm just going to start spamming it like it's GBA. Katria is a Cav again, and she purposefully takes a counter from this thief, which gives Marisha a heal target on turn 1. We're not using Mend here so that Wendell can have a heal target next turn. We recruit Roger on turn 1 this time around, since there isn't really a need for any low luck AI tricks. Sirius seemed to have missed the memo that this was a 3-turn clear because he's gone ahead and aggroed Astrum and his hero squad on turn 1. He could easily wait for the thief to exit the hero's range before going in, but this way Yulia gets a heal target for turns 2 and 3 so that she doesn't have to waste any barrier uses. Chris once again takes his spot in the top right, where he's trading 8 hammer uses for over a full level's worth of experience against these level 5 generals. There is an armory that sells hammers on this map, but I honestly don't really remember seeing many armored enemies during my first playthrough. I'm fairly certain that this hammer will last the rest of the game, so I may as well get some experience out of it here. Worst case, we'll still have Sheeta and her wing spear. I'll be honest and say that the majority of this 3-turn clear is pretty much just staff grinding, so yeah, enjoy. Okay, I mean, she literally hit every stat except for the one that actually matters. This map is so slow paced that we straight up have time to dance Marisha for extra healing experience. We've seemingly exposed Cav Katria to a Rider's Bane Paladin by putting her in the front lines alongside Pala for this enemy phase, but the AI isn't smart enough to move one unit out of the way so that another can take its place, and the Paladin in front of Katria just has an Armor Slayer. Bantu makes himself useful by picking up the Silver Lance, though I'm not sure that I'll actually need it. I think that Sheeta has hit more strength level ups at this point than both Chris and Pala, and in fact she's only 1 strength behind Pala. I made a mistake here by healing Fina with Wendell. This heal was supposed to go to Katria. Whoops. Aside from the grinding, another bonus of 3-turning this map is that we now have enough resources to snag the Silver Bow. And luckily my mistake of not healing Katria goes unpunished because she's able to barely take out the sniper from 2 range and survive with 1 HP. Once again, Gordon talks to George, who we use along with Roger, Kane, and Fina this time, to rescue Boost Marth 2 tiles towards the gate. That's Chapter 8 completed in 3 turns, with Bantu. Great. I'll see you next time.